Good morning, children. Sai Ram. I am Beena Bamgai. I am your physics teacher, and I welcome you all in this class 10 in this new session 2020. Children, first I want to introduce your science book. You can see this is the cover page of your NCERT science book. Now you can see your science syllabus. Your science syllabus has three parts: physics, chemistry, and biology. The chemistry portion has 5 chapters: chemical reactions and equations, acid, bases and salts, metals and nonmetals, carbon and its compounds, and periodic classification of elements. In biology portion, you are having 6 chapters: life processes, control and coordination, how do organisms reproduce, heredity and evolution, our environment, sustainable management of natural resources. Now in the third portion, physics, you are having 5 chapters: light reflection and refraction, the human eye in the colorful world, electricity, magnetic effect of electric current, and sources of energy. In this way, you can see there are total 5 chapters in your physics course. Now children, today I am starting your physics course with this first chapter, electricity. This chapter, electricity, is the 12th chapter in your NCERT book. Now, I am starting this chapter with some basic concepts. As you have learned about the types of energy, you are knowing about the electrical energy. Electrical energy is the source of energy, or we can define electricity as flow of charges. Let's talk about charges first. Charges are of two types: positive charge and negative charge. Positive charge is also known as protons, and the negative charge is also known as electron. The charge is represented by Q and its SI unit is Coulomb. If you want to find out the amount of charge in any substance, then we are having the formula Q is equals to N multiply E, where N is the number of electrons and E is the charge on electron. Proton possess 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 Coulomb positive charge, and electron possess 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 Coulomb negative charge. The properties of charges. There are mainly two properties of charges. The first property is same charges repel each other. For example, positive charge repels positive charge and a negative charge repels negative charge. The second property of charges is the opposite charges attract each other. For example, a positive charge attracts a negative charge. So in this way, we are having two properties of charges. Now children, I am showing you one sample problem here which I am going to solve. The question is, calculate the number of electrons constituting 1 coulomb of charge. Here, if you want to solve this numerical, first you have to find out what is given in the question and what we have to find out. If we are reading the first line, then we are getting this one, the number of electrons. Calculate the number of electrons. It means number of electrons N is missing. In the second line, 1 coulomb of charge. It means charge is 1 coulomb. Q is 1 coulomb. Electron, E, the charge on electron, we are already knowing this thing, 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Now, we are using the formula Q is equals to N multiply E. This formula we have learnt in the previous slide. With the help of this formula, we can place the new one, N is equals to Q into E. Now, we are going to put the values of Q and E here. The value of Q is 1 and the value of E is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. When we are putting these values and solving this sum, then we are getting the value of n as 6.25 into 10 to the power 18. Thus, we can say in 1 coulomb of charge, 6.25 into 10 to the power 18 electrons are present. Now, the next topic is conductors and insulators. You all are familiar with this topic as you have learned this topic in class 8th also. But here we are adding one new term. Just check it out. Conductors. Conductors are the substances through which electric current or electric charge can flow easily. All the metals like iron, copper, silver, aluminium, these are the examples of conductors. The new term which I am adding here, that is conductors possess free electrons. Now, insulators. Insulators are the substances through which electric current or electric charge cannot flow. The examples of insulators are rubber, plastic, glass, drywood, etc. Insulators do not possess any free electrons. Now you all are thinking about the free electrons. Okay, I am explaining this. Actually, free electrons are the electrons which are loosely held by the nuclei of their atom. And any substance can be a conductor if free electrons are present in them. Now, I am explaining this free electron more. Here you can see the picture of an atom, which you have seen in chemistry classes also. Here you can see there are 3 subatomic particles of atom. Positively charged protons, negatively charged electrons, and neutral particles, neutrons. In nucleus you can see protons and neutrons are present, and negatively charged particles, electrons are present outside the nucleus and the orbits. You can see this electron, it is loosely held by the nucleus as it is far from the nucleus as comparatively to these electrons. So, this electron which is in the outermost shell, if it is getting external force, then it can get detached from this atom. As it is getting detached from this atom, then it is free to move. It is able to move from one body to another body also. This electron is known as free electron. Now is it clear? Okay. Now the next topic is classification of electricity. Electricity can be classified into 2 parts, static electricity and current electricity. Static electricity, in which electric charges remain at rest, they do not move. Current electricity, in which charges are in motion, they are free to move from one body to another body. The example of static electricity is the lightning which you are seeing in the sky in the rainy season. And the example of current electricity is the electricity which we are using in homes. Now I am explaining you about the electric potential and potential difference. Children, you all are knowing that conductors contain free electrons. The free electrons can move from one body to another body. And when they are moving from one point to another point, one body to another body, then they are doing some work. This work done by the charges is called their potential. I can explain this term with the help of this diagram also. In the given diagram, you can see we are having a point which is at infinity and the other point which is placed somewhere. Now, if we are taking any positive charge and that unit positive charge, if we are taking this unit positive charge from infinity to that point, then the work done by this unit positive charge, it is known as electric potential. The electric potential is represented by V and its SI unit is volt. Now I'm telling you about the potential difference. Potential difference, which is written as PD also. Now you can see if we are having 2 points, point A and point B, and we are taking a unit positive charge from point A to B or from B to A, then also the charges have to do some work. So the work done here by the unit positive charge in moving from one point to another point, that is known as potential difference. In other way, if we want to explain potential difference, then we can say the potential difference is the difference between the electrical potential between the two charged bodies. Potential difference, it is also represented by V, and its SI unit is volt, which is named after Alessandro Volt. The expression for potential difference is work done by amount of charge, or we can write it as V is equals to W upon Q. To find out the unit of potential difference, we can write it as V is equals to W upon Q, which can written in this form joules per coulomb, as joules is the unit of work and coulomb is the unit of charge. When we are writing this unit, it is joules per coulomb, and this joules per coulomb, it is also known as volt. Now children, how to measure the potential difference between 2 points? It is very easy to measure the potential difference between 2 points. We have to use an instrument that is known as voltmeter. Voltmeter can measure potential difference. It is always connected parallel to the, you can see this figure here, it is always connected in parallel. You can see here, it is always connected in parallel across the two ends, 2 points where the potential difference is to be measured. The other name of potential difference is voltage. And now the topic is electric current. Electric current is the flow of charges per unit time. It is also defined as the rate of flow of electric charges. It is denoted by I, and the expression for electric current is amount of charge upon time taken, which is also written as I is equals to Q upon T. To find out the unit of electric current, we can use the same expression I is equals to Q upon T. Now we will put the values of the unit of these quantities. The unit of Q is coulomb and the unit of time is second. In this way, the unit of electric current is coulomb per second, which is also equals to ampere. Thus, the SI unit of electric current is ampere. We can also define 1 ampere. 1 ampere is the amount of electric current when 1 coulomb of charge flows in a conductor in 1 second. Electric current is measured by instrument called ammeter. Ammeter is always connected in series with the circuit. Now children, I am showing you one video which is based on electric current. I hope your concept will be more clear by seeing this video.
When you hear the word current, what is the first thing that strikes your mind? Maybe the first thing that will strike your mind will be a rapidly flowing river in some hilly region. Or maybe when you hear the word current, you will think about the appliances that run at your home. Because you must have often heard your parents say that current is being wasted when the appliances have been switched on for a long period of time. So, in all these cases, what do you think current has in common? Let us take the example of the river. In a river which flows in a hilly region, the water is rapidly flowing from one place to another. So likewise, we call this a river current. So we can say that flow has something to do with current, or current is some sort of a flow. Let us take a more day-to-day example. You must have ridden a bicycle at some point in your life. Now, how do you ride a bicycle? You push these pedals forward and thus the bicycle moves. Now, how do you think that when you are pedaling the bicycle, it is able to move? If you look closely at this picture, you will find that it is attached to two pulleys over a chain. Now, this chain has certain beads along with it. You will find that when these beads move in the forward direction due to pedaling, the bicycle moves along in the forward direction. So a similar thing happens in case of current as well. Whenever electrons move in a direction, current flows as well. So we consider two oppositely charged bodies. We consider a negatively charged body that has an excess of electrons, and we consider a positively charged body which has a deficiency of electrons. And now we connect these two bodies. So when we connect these two bodies, what do you think will happen? Since the negatively charged body has an excess of electrons, these electrons will be attracted towards the positively charged body. So electrons will flow from the negatively charged body to the positively charged body. And this is the direction of flow of electrons. Conventionally, it is considered that the direction of flow of electrons is opposite to that of the direction of flow of conventional current. So in this case, we can see that electrons are flowing in this direction and current is flowing in this direction. That is from the positively charged body to the negatively charged body. And usually what we call electric current is the flow of conventional current. So in this case, if we have to say in which direction current is flowing, we will say that current is flowing in this direction. So we found that when electrons are flowing, there is a presence of electric current. However, when electrons are not flowing, there is no electric current present. So we can say that electric current has to do with the flow of electrons. And as we just saw, the conventional current that we consider is in a direction that is opposite to the direction of flow of electrons. So how do you think we can measure this electric current? Electric current, which is denoted by the letter I, has been defined as the charge flowing, that is Q, per unit time T. So in this way, we can calculate the electric current. So as you can see that it is the charge flowing per unit time, we can also call electric current as the rate of flow of charge through a conductor. So what does this mean? This means that we can write current as Q upon T. Because as you can see from the definition, it is the charge flowing per unit time. Thus, the formula for current is I equals Q upon T, where I denotes current, Q denotes charge, and T denotes time. So, the formula is I equals Q upon T. Now, how can we define 1 ampere of current? 1 ampere is the current that flows when 1 coulomb of charge is flowing through a conductor in 1 second. Over here, ampere is the SI unit for current, coulomb is the SI unit for charge, and second is the SI unit for time. So thus we have learnt that.
Now children, I'm giving you a home assignment. Here are some questions for which you have to find out answers. 1. Give 2 examples of conductors and 2 of insulators. 2. Differentiate between conductors and insulators. 3. What is the SI unit of electric charge? 4. What happens when 2 same charges come in contact and 2 opposite charges come in contact? Now the next question is, define the SI unit of electric current. How is an ammeter connected in an electric circuit to measure the current flowing through it? Name the instrument used to measure potential difference. Next question is, In a conductor, electrons are flowing from B to A. What is the direction of conventional current? And the last question is, what is mean by potential difference between 2 points? Thank you, Sairam.